There, this is Rosetta, and many of my students have written in the past couple of weeks since we've all been in lockdown to give them a refresher on making pasta. I've been teaching pasta making for many years since I started teaching in 2004, and so I thought I would do a quick tutorial. I'll start today with maybe showing you how to knead the dough, and then I'll probably do many more tutorials. Hopefully I can get my hubby to keep on doing these videos and share them with you. So for today, I'm just gonna do the kneading of the dough. So what I have here is 300 grams of durum wheat. This is the durum wheat that I use, which is semolina flour. You can use any durum wheat. If you have it from Italy, it's fine. This is the one that I've been using since they came out with it a couple of years ago. Of course, you can also do it with regular flour. This is the flour that I use. I know my students are familiar with it because I've been using this since day one, since I started teaching in 2004. It's also central milling. It's all organic, unbleached, all-purpose flour. So the pasta that I'll be showing you, more typical of Southern Italy, that have flour, or in this case durum wheat flour, and water, nothing else, no salt, no oil. Okay, so for 300 grams of durum wheat flour, I have 150 mils of warm water, which is about 3/4 cup. So what I do is, the easiest way is just sort of make a well in the middle, and I add the water and I start working it in. This is sort of how my mom does it. She kind of does it a little bit at a time. So I learned how to make pasta when I was 9, and I still remember the day I made pasta the first time, because my mom said, do not make it wet. It's better to have it dry and you can add more dough rather than keep on adding more flour, because it's hard to incorporate flour if the dough, is really wet, and also you end up with a lot more than you want. So this is 300 grams with 150 ml of water, and so it'll end up about a pound of pasta, which is enough really for 4 people. So you can see how it sort of starts coming together, and just going to put the rest of it. And sometimes you might not need it all. Okay, so I have a little bit of water left. It depends, of course, on the flour, the humidity. So I'm just gonna try to knead it together and see, but it looks like I will need it. But this, I think it's an easier way to tell if you're gonna need a little bit more, by keeping a little bit of water behind rather than adding it all at once, because this is not a dough that it's very wet, so you really need to knead it and incorporate it, the flour, and sort of get a feel for it. So this is almost, it's moist, but I still have quite a bit of loose, so I'm just going to put it on. So 150 is the right amount. Usually it's the amount that it requires. I've tested it many times with this flour, but as I said, you might be using a different flour. So use this technique that I do, is just kind of don't put it all at once. Hold a little bit behind, and then if you need to add a little more, you can do that. So when I get to a point where I've picked up most of the flour, I turn it over on the counter, or in this case on my table. So you can see I picked it all up. Okay, so this is now where you start kneading it. So if you look at it right now, you can see it's very dry, and you can see it's not hydrated at all. Okay, so you don't want any of this, so you really need to go at it and knead it and work. And I will pick up all these loose bits of flour, and this is how I knead it. I sort of pull, push, and then I rotate. And just keep on doing this. So this, as I said before, it's pretty stiff. Okay, it's not a wet dough, because a lot of the shape that I'm going to show you are all shaped by hand, and you don't want a wet dough, otherwise you'll see it would stick, especially if you're doing the kneading needle pasta. You don't want to use any flour when you shape it. Okay, so you can see already, I've only kneaded it maybe a minute or so, and it already looks different, okay, than it did just maybe 30 seconds ago. But you're not seeing that dried flour, okay? It's already getting hydrated. I'm just gonna keep on doing this. And maybe what we'll do is we'll speed this up for you. But I'm just doing the same techniques. You keep on, maybe I should go sideways so you can see how the dough, it's rolling on itself, okay? And then I turn it and I do the same thing. Okay, so I'm putting a lot of strength to do this, okay? So it's not easy. So if you just do this and you just massage it, it's not gonna go anywhere, okay? You really need to put all your upper strength and just push and sort of push and pull towards you. Okay, this is sort of how it's developing the gluten. You're getting it fully hydrated. You can see how it's coming together. See, it's already looking smoother than it did at the beginning. Okay. Okay. Okay, so you see, it's starting to look smooth. I'm not done yet. So I'm just gonna continue on doing this, the same technique that I've shown you for maybe 5 minutes total. And I will show you what it looks like when I'm all done. Okay, so you can see now that I'm done. You see how smooth it looks? It's very, very silky and smooth. So this is the texture you would end up with, okay? And at this point, I'm just gonna cover it and let it rest for 30 minutes. And then we can talk about the different shapes. I'll start showing you different shapes. If you, I opened a page in my book. I know many of you have my cookbook. You can see some of the shapes that I covered when I wrote the book. These are shapes pretty much found in Calabria, but I'll also teach you other shapes that I've learned over the years. Okay, so typically either put this in a plastic bag or saran wrap, or you could do what my grandmother used to do. You can just cover it in a bowl. The key is not to expose it to air, because you don't want it to dry or develop a crust, because once it develops a crust, a dry film, it's really hard to stretch it, especially since we're going to be shaping all these shapes with our hands and a few tools that you might have around the house. Okay, see you later.